at MoMA's 2023 Land of Minimalism special exhibition. An oil painting called Waiting sparked more buzz than even Picasso's originals. On the left side of the canvas, there are just 3 light gray horizontal lines, and the right 2/3 was nothing but blank linen. Emily, a Wall Street analyst, wrote in the guest book, "I stared at that blank space for 10 minutes, and it took me back to those childhood mornings in Vermont, waiting for my dad to get home from fishing by the lake." Meanwhile, Mark, a college student who also stopped to look, thought the blankness held his own confusion about choosing career. How can a piece of art with no content make different people see different stories? Behind it lies a psychological principle that's seriously underestimated in modern society: the blank space effect. What is the blank space effect? Psychology's unfinished code. The blank space effect isn't exclusive to the art world. It refers to proactively leaving unfilled blank spaces in information delivery, emotional expression, or environmental design. By tapping into the audience's psychological compensation mechanism, this approach achieves more profound communication effects than filling every gap with information. Psychologically, its core is supported by 2 key theories. First, the law of closure from Gestalt psychology. German psychologist Max Wertheimer proposed that the human brain has a natural urge to complete incomplete information. When we see a broken circle, we automatically mentally fill in to make a full one. When we hear a fragmented melody, we subconsciously hum the rest. Blank spaces leverage this instinct, turning the audience from passive receivers into active participants. When people fill those blanks with their own experiences, they develop a stronger sense of ownership over the information. Take those public service ads on Los Angeles streets. Against a black background, all they say is 1/3 of teens plus a help hotline, no extra text. But parents walking by automatically think 1/3 of teens are facing mental health crises. This self-derived awareness hits harder than any blunt lecture. Second, the burden reduction logic. From cognitive load theory, educational psychologist John Sweller found that the human brain has limited working memory capacity. When information density exceeds a threshold, it causes cognitive overload, which drastically drops comprehension. The essence of blank spaces is information noise reduction, cutting out redundant elements in ads, teaching, or design so that key information becomes a visual or mental focal point. Think about product launches by Silicon Valley tech companies. Their PPT slides only ever have one key data point or keyword, with mostly solid color blank backgrounds. This is specifically to keep the audience from getting distracted by complicated charts, making sure critical info sticks in their long-term memory fast. Real-world uses of the blank space effect. Wisdom for business and daily life. Advertising and marketing. Hand over imagination rights to consumers. Apple's advertising strategy is a classic example of the blank space effect. During the 1984 Super Bowl, Apple released a 60-second ad for the Macintosh. The footage showed a running woman, a cold totalitarian scene, and ended with, "January 24th, you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. No product specs, no details. This blank space campaign sparked speculation across America, and the Macintosh sold over 30,000 units on its launch day. Today, Apple still sticks to this playbook. In iPhone 15 promo photos, the phone floats against a pure white background, with just iPhone 15 below it. The blank space makes consumers naturally think of words like slim, high-end, and user-friendly, and those associations are way more convincing than any slogan. Coca-Cola's 2022 blank-in design was just as clever. The cannoli kept its signature red base color in the brand logo. The area that used to be covered in patterns was left blank with the tagline, "Your story, written by you," on social media. People volunteered to share photos of themselves doodling on the cans or sticking photos to them. The hashtag My Coke Story got over 1 billion views. By turning ads into interactive canvases, Coke used blank spaces to spark consumers' creativity, shifting the brand from a seller to a companion. Education, using blanks to build critical thinking. Harvard's case method is a perfect example of the blank space effect in education. In business school classes, professors don't lecture on how to create a marketing strategy. Instead, they hand out a failed case study from a company, only sharing market data and internal disputes. Then ask, if you were the CEO, what would you do next? For the next 90 minutes, the classroom becomes a discussion space. Students have to work out a plan from financial, marketing, ethical, and other angles, while the professor only guides the key points, never giving a standard answer. Behind this blank space teaching is the practice of constructivist learning theory. Knowledge isn't force-fed. Learners actively build it while exploring the blanks. Project-based learning, PBL, in K, 12 schools also embodies this idea. At Berkeley Elementary School in California, fourth graders worked on an urban water conservation project. The teacher only provided research tools and interview contacts. Students got to decide their own research focus, report format, and solutions. Some groups made documentaries. Others designed community posters. A few even developed a home water-saving app. These unrestricted blank tasks didn't just teach the kids about environmental protection. They built problem-solving skills and creativity. That's exactly what modern education is about. Learning how to learn, not just learning facts. Space design, letting blanks be breathing room. The reason Nordic design is popular worldwide is its ultimate use of the blank space effect. IKEA's Kallax series bookshelves have no fancy carvings or decorations, just simple wooden planks made into a grid. All the blank space lets consumers freely mix in storage boxes, potted plants, or decor. This blank design doesn't just fit different families' decor styles. It also matches a need for autonomy in environmental psychology. When people can customize a space themselves, they feel a stronger sense of belonging to it. In apartments in Stockholm, residents often pair Kallax shelves with blank walls, hanging just one small painting or placing a desk lamp. This less is more aesthetic makes even tiny spaces feel open and airy. The renovation of New York's High Line brought the blank space effect to urban public spaces. This park, converted from an abandoned railway, has no crowded amusement rides or commercial shops. Instead, it kept some old railway track relics, with the rest designed as lawns, walkways, and open platforms. The blank lawns became spots for picnics and reading. The wide viewing decks let people gaze freely at the Manhattan skyline. James Corner, the park's designer, said, "We didn't want to fill every inch. We wanted to leave blank space as a possibility, so everyone could find their own way to use the park." Data shows the High Line attracts 4 million visitors a year, and 60% of them stay in the blank areas for over an hour. These aimless stays are exactly what eases the anxiety of New York's fast-paced life. Relationships. Blanks are the boundary of respect. In workplace culture, the blank space effect is an unspoken rule for communication. Google's feedback template has a clear requirement. Each feedback should only raise one core issue and leave 2 open-ended questions for the other person to think about. For example, after a colleague submits a proposal, a manager won't say, "This logic is messy, the data is lacking, and you should fix it like this." Instead, they'll say, "This proposal has strengths in matching user needs, but when it comes to cost control, what angles do you think you could optimize from? If we add a testing phase, how do you think that would affect the timeline?" This stop-at-the-right-point communication avoids the resistance that comes with preachy feedback. It also leaves room for the other person to think and adjust, aligning with the value of respecting individual autonomy. The silence technique used by American counselors also shows the power of blanks. In cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, after a client finishes talking about their troubles, the counselor won't jump to give advice. Instead, they'll stay silent for 3 to 5 seconds. This intentional blank space gives the client time to organize their thoughts, often leading them to share deeper feelings. Sarah Jones, a New York counselor, shared a case. An anxious professional initially just said, "I hate my job." But after the silence, they added, "Actually, what I'm scared of is that this job has turned me into someone I hate." It's the buffer of that blank space that lets deep-seated emotions surface. And that's the key to solving psychological issues. The blank space effect. Wisdom of subtraction in the age of information overload. These days, we're drowning in endless short videos and constant info pop-ups and stuck in filling anxiety, afraid of missing any news, so we never put our phones on silent, keep social media apps online 24/7, and fill our schedules to the minute. But the blank space effect reminds us. Truly valuable information is often hidden in unfilled spaces. Truly deep connections need room for each other to compromise. A truly comfortable life can't do without imperfect blank spaces. Think about the cafes on Paris's left bank. They always keep half their seats empty. It's not because business is bad. It's so customers can read and chat at their leisure. Or London's British Museum. They only open some exhibition halls each day. It's not because there aren't enough exhibits. It's so visitors can appreciate the art with focus. Blank spaces aren't emptiness. They're about leaving room for meaning to breathe. When we learn to add a "what do you think?" to conversations, a "why?" to education, and a little doing nothing time to life, we'll realize those unfilled blanks are exactly the warmest parts of life.